In a world that moves too fast, this is your invitation to pause, to explore the space between thought and wonder, where science meets story and emotion meets insight. Here, curiosity is more than a question. It's a way of being. You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
Have you ever noticed how some thoughts, they don't just hurt emotionally, they land in your body? A tight chest, a knot in your stomach, heat in your face, or just a sudden urge to disappear? That response isn't anxiety alone. Very often, that's shame. And shame is not just a thought pattern, it's a full body experience. Hi nerds! If you're new here, I'm Dr. Angel with Nerdy Psychology, where we talk about mental health from a fun, practical, and realistic perspective. Not pressure, not perfection. This month, our Food for Thought Fridays are inspired by the book Atlas of the Heart. And today, I want us to slow way down because shame doesn't respond well to being rushed. Last week, we talked about naming our emotions. Today, we're talking about what happens when an emotion goes unnamed and unspoken and unprocessed. That emotion is shame. Brené Brown gives us a distinction that changes everything. Guilt says I did something bad. Shame, however, says I am something bad. And that shift from behavior to identity is where the real damage happens. Because guilt still allows movement. Guilt says, I could fix this. I could repair this. Shame says, I need to hide. And the body listens. I often describe shame like an invisible backpack that people carry. At first, it's light. A few moments, a few messages, a few experiences where someone learned, don't talk about that. You should know better. Why are you like this? You're just too much. Nothing dramatic, no headline-worthy item, just small moments that taught our nervous system being seen here, it's not safe. So the backpack, it stays on, and over time, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. People don't always notice that weight anymore. They just feel tired and irritable and foggy and disconnected or sick. And they often blame themselves. I'm just lazy, or I'm too sensitive, or I should just be over this by now. But what's really happening is that their nervous system has been under chronic threat. This is the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Shame activates same physiological systems as danger. When shame is present, the body, it shifts into survival, that fight, flight, freeze mode. Our heart rate increases, our muscles tighten, our breathing gets shallow, our cortisol rises, and inflammation increases over time. And when the body never gets the signal that it's safe again, it stays braced. Research has linked chronic unresolved shame to higher rates of chronic pain, autoimmune conditions, gastrointestinal disorders, cardiovascular disorders, depression and anxiety. Not because shame causes illness directly, but because the body was never allowed to come back home. And one of the most common phrases I hear in therapy is, I never told anyone this before. And what follows is really rarely something shocking. It's usually something kind of quiet, something ordinary. A belief like, I'm too much, I ruin things, I don't belong. If people really knew me, they'd leave. That secrecy is where shame grows its roots, because shame doesn't need facts. It needs isolation. It needs silence. Brené Brown says shame derives its power from being unspeakable. And she's right. Shame doesn't heal through logic. You cannot think your way out of it. It doesn't heal through positive affirmations or tough love or telling yourself to be grateful. And it definitely doesn't heal through self-punishment. Shame heals through exposure to empathy and connection. Not exposure like tell everybody everything about you, but exposure like naming it and letting it be seen by someone safely, someone who can respond with understanding and not judgment. Light doesn't destroy shame because it's harsh. Light destroys shame because shame cannot survive connection. Shame hides under the emotions that feel more acceptable. Things like embarrassment or self-doubt or inadequacy or feeling like you're not enough or imposter syndrome. So people just say, I'm stressed, but their body says, I don't feel safe being me. And this is where emotional language matters. When someone can say, oh, this just isn't anxiety, this is shame, something shifts. Naming it creates space between who you are and what you feel. And space is where that regulation can begin. This is why in my workbook, we don't try to just erase shame, we externalize it. We move it from I am broken to I am having a human response to something that once hurt me. Language changes physiology. The emotion checklist guide I created supports the exact process. Identifying shame without judgment, understanding what it's protecting, and choosing a response that supports safety instead of secrecy. Because shame believes it's protecting you. And sometimes it once was. Here's your food for thought this week. If something feels heavy in your body, pause and gently ask yourself, is there a part of me that feels defective instead of human? And if the answer is yes, that part doesn't need fixing. It needs compassion and connection. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more Food for Thought Friday. And if you're willing, comment with this reflection. What emotion do you tend to keep hidden? Next Friday, we're going to talk about the emotions that create connection. Things like vulnerability and trust and belonging, and why they feel so risky, even though they're exactly what heals shame. Until then, be curious, stay kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind